A very good evening to you all, and welcome to the West Ham Weekly on the West Ham Voice on a Tuesday night. Sorry about last night. Sometimes things get in the way, real life is more important than football at times, and my apologies for not being on Monday night. But I hope to bring you up to date with all things West Ham, and a slight change, no match reviews, because I did a very short show. If you haven't seen that, I did that on Monday. That went out on Monday morning. So if you want a review of the last two games, do go and have a look at that after this show. But I will do a preview. I don't normally do previews. I kind of takes too much effort to do previews, but I'm going to have an attempt at the preview for the crunch game that we have, our game in hand that we've got against Man City on Wednesday night. But first of all, a few shout outs. I've got quite used to doing this. So hello to Colin from Bognor. I met him at the under-18s final last week. We had a nice little chat there. Hello to Debenham Dave, who I was chatting to behind me at the Bournemouth game the other week as well. Plus Peter John. I forgot to thank also. Hello, Peter John. I also forgot to thank Scotty Fennell and Wayne Openshaw for the lift to Bournemouth station after the game that day. I love it when fans come and say hello. It's good because it kind of brings it all to life, and I really appreciate it. And everyone's really polite. I haven't had anyone that's pointed fingers or had a go at me yet, but long may it rain. I think it's great chatting to fellow fans, at games. I was chatting to fans at the Palace game on Saturday as well. But there was someone who I was standing right next to, and I forgot to ask your name. He said, "I'll watch your show." And I went, "Oh, thank you very much," and blah, blah, blah. And I forgot to ask your name. So let's see who's in the chat tonight. Good evening to you, Epic. How are you? I hope you're well, mate. Good evening to you, Stuart. Well, either keeping the faith works still, or the Premier League needs West Ham in it. One more win, and we may not even need that after the weekend results. I'm going to talk a little bit about that later on. Good evening, Foxes. How are you? There's still 12 points to be had, and we don't have an easy run-in like Forest. We don't, but I don't know. There's some teams down below us that aren't going to fare so well. Who knows? Foxes again. With Zouma out, I'm worried. Excuse me. I'm going to talk about Zouma and potential replacements later on. You're going for an 8-1-1. Isn't that what we've been doing all season? Stuart again. Hi, Stel. Bumped into an old schoolmate last night. We're in our 50th year now. He reckons don't just write off a City win tomorrow, as West Ham always raise the bar against big teams. And that's a really good point. Yeah, I like that. I like that approach. Foxes again. Torn ligament from Zouma means at least 3 weeks, I reckon. Let me get onto that a little bit later on. Good evening to you, Matt. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Who else we got? Stuart, some positive vibes tonight. I'm going to try. You know me. I know, Matt. I know. You're jumping ahead. Head-to-head versus City. Played 43. Hey, we won 9. Why not a 10th? Foxes again. In the last 5 years, City have played 150 games from now to the end of the season, lost only 5. Well, there's a draw coming, isn't there, maybe? Good evening to you, Flamer. I hope you're well. All I want to hear, F. Moyes is gone. Under Moyes, we will win the Europa Conference, and our Premier League is in doubt. You know what? It might not be. I know the last week hasn't been great, but it might actually not be in doubt. It sounds weird, doesn't it? Matt, not looking forward to tomorrow, but got to try and keep the scoreline down. It'll be fantastic to come away with a point, at least. I think it would. If we came away with a point, you'd take that, wouldn't you? Good evening to you, E. Davis. How are you? Time to find ourselves a new centre-back. I do agree with that. Zouma is not a reliable option. I'm going to talk about his injury record in a moment. Matt again. Can't believe our last win was a 1-2 win back in 2015-16 season. Absolutely, under Slaven Bilic. Would love us to start beating the top 6 darlings. I agree, but we kind of know what's coming tomorrow, don't we? But I'm going to talk about the sort of lineups, not only the lineup that Moyes has an option to give players a rest, but also the lineup that I think he's going to pick, and then Stell's lineup as well. Good evening to you, usual. Arsenal 3. Yes, I know. I saw the score just before I came online. Chelsea are shocking. He's doing us a favour, isn't he? We're going to go above Chelsea before the end of the season. Good evening, Mr. Peters. How are you? It was a beautiful sunny day at Palace. It sure was, wasn't it? Was you nice and hot in your Another corrupt penalty decision against us. That's 2 games. It is. Let's be honest. we've had two really, really poor decisions against us in the last two games. I mean, everything comes in threes. So I'm expecting another VAR decision to go against us tomorrow night against Man City as well. But yes, absolutely. You know, the VAR decision that wasn't a penalty when we played last week. I mean, I don't understand how many times that Liverpool player needed to touch the ball with his hand, but there you go, that's all gone. And then of course the VAR decision, I mean, goodness me, you know what, Agerd made it look like he pulled him back because he held his hand out, but he hardly touched the player. But that was right in front of the ref. That was VAR as well. Why? You know, I feel sympathy for Moyes when he says that, you know, we're giving away, I thought VAR was there not to give away soft penalties. That was a soft, because he certainly didn't touch him with his feet. The fella was diving before he was even touched. Mr. McLaren, good evening to you. I hope you're well, mate. Good evening, Andrew. Any ideas on how... I wasn't late. Maybe a minute or two or three. Good evening to you, Vinay. I hope you're well. Moyes is deciding when to bring on Stell. I like that. 70 minutes then. Stella's warming up, running with the cat. Moyes will soon in the game. And then leave me in my kit on the sidelines. Mark, good evening to you. Start time sweeps. You bunch of bastards. Good evening to you, Black Country. I hope you're all well. Oh, yeah, I like it when you take the piss. You go ahead. Good evening, Graham. How are you, mate? Hi, guys. The snow has finally left Alberta. Where did it go? And we are basket. Fuck me. What? You went from snow to 23 degrees? Happy days. We need to retake players and end this season with a bang. P.S. She's doing absolutely well, mate. I was spent most of the day with her yesterday. Thank you for asking, Graham. Much appreciated. Jan, good evening to you. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Good evening to you, Howard. I hope you're well. Vina, it's still 2 to 8 centigrade. Is that minus 2 to 8 degrees centigrade in Gotland? God, and I'm complaining. I've got the heating on at the moment. Got cold earlier on. Good evening to you, Steve. How are you? I hope you're well. I'm very well, mate. Thank you. I know Arsenal 3-0 up. Good old fat Frank. Isn't he great, eh? And we all, and imagine some of us wanted him West Ham, didn't we? Anyway, Victor, good evening to you. I hope you're well. Good evening to you, Daniela. I've always thought that Chelsea had no real interest in Rice. It's all down to Dad Trey to push them to buy him. Dad Trey, you've lost me. You're going to have to explain. Good evening, Bill. How are you? I hope you're well. Thank you for joining, mate. Good evening to you, NWO. How are you? I hope you're well too. Vinay, I think Antonio and Souček are going to bully City at set pieces. Wouldn't that be nice? I mean, wouldn't it be nice if we managed to sort of keep them at bay? Well, I mean, they've got that shit forward, haven't they? What's his name? Haaland. He's only scored 50 goals so far this season. He's pretty shit, isn't he? But yeah, who knows? We might get a goal. You know, we started scoring from set pieces again. So you never know. Be positive. Absolutely. Be positive without a shadow. But you never know. That's the beauty of football, isn't it? The beauty of football is you never know what will happen. Got a damn good feeling what might happen. But, you know, at the end of the day, you never know. NWO, Moyes lays down for the top 6 teams. I do agree with that. I hate it. Should go for it. If we're going to lose 5-0, we might as well have a bloody go at them. Howard, we will finish 15th above Chelsea, win the Europa Conference, knock Spuds out of European spot for the win. Now, that would be a nice outcome, wouldn't it? Finishing above Chelsea, win the Europa Conference to knock Spurs out of a European spot. That for me would be a great season. Great season. Good evening to you, Dizzy. I hope you're well. The question is, can Moyes break the curse of away fixtures against big boys? The answer is no, but I'm living in hope. Good morning to you, Rhonda and Tony. I hope you're well. Daniela, with a draw yesterday, this game is not a freebie, but it won't be the end of the world if we lose. It won't be. You know, I think we're 4 points clear of the next team below us. We've got the game in hand. So even if we lose that, you know, all the team, if any of the teams win below us, even this weekend, even if we lose to Man United, and we're like, not that I'm, you know, saying we should lie down for both, but even if we lose our next 2 games, and even if a team below us win, we're still in 15th, which is shocking. Good shocking, but shocking. Good evening to you, Sharky. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining, mate. I hope you're well. Good evening to you, Jonathan. I hope you're well. NWO, VAR has just helped prove the games are fixed. Well, do you know what? Yes, You know, I mean, what else is it for? You know, because if VAR was meant to be there in order to right all the wrongs, it ain't doing it, is it? Because it's absolutely shocking. It's bad enough, you know, in the old days when you had the referee making the decision, at least you had to go at the referee. Now you've got technology making wrong decisions. What's the point of it? What's the point of it? If they continue to make wrong decisions, why have it? It's meant to be there to actually, and it takes so long for them to make a wrong decision. That makes it even worse. You know, and the irony, it took them next to no time to make a decision against Liverpool that weren't a penalty. And it took next to no time to make a decision that was a penalty. I mean, it's weird, isn't it? When it's West Ham, we've all got to sit there in the stadium waiting half an hour until they decide whether a goal is a goal or a penalty is a penalty, etc. It's poor. Good evening, Lord Patrick. I hope you're well. Like to say how nice it is to be here again. It's always nice to have you here. I hope you're well. Dizzy, where are the other camera angles for that penalty? Well, you know, here's another irony there, Dizzy, and you're absolutely right. When it's shown on TV, you know, the TV cameras, why don't they use those TV cameras? Why don't they use all the different angles that TV uses to show a game? Why do they only seem to have a one-dimensional approach to VAR in order to make their decisions? There's something weird there, isn't there? Without a doubt, there's something weird. Victor, sorry, but I don't think we will win anything under Moyes. That includes Europa. Players run into the ground again. I'm going to talk about what Moyes can do moving forward. Certainly in the game against Man City, there's an awful lot of talk that fans want a lot of players rested for the game tomorrow. It's, you know, one of those free hits. I don't believe in free hits, but, you know, because of that, people want... but there are options. Will we... I don't know. We still got a good chance in Europe. Schmiegel, I hope you're well. Thank you for joining, mate. P. Gads, how are you? The VAR and refs decisions have been unlucky. Unlucky for us, they have. But a wise man once said that you make your own luck. That is true, especially when you have over 20% possession. Now, I know that. And I have sort of... Not that I'm defending lack of possession, but it's what you do with the possession that counts. You know, I think we had very low possession against Bournemouth and we whacked 4 past them. So sometimes... You know, possession isn't the be all and end all. I get it. When you're playing against a team like we're going to play against Man City, possession is going to be quite crucial. But, you know, if you have 20% possession, if you bang in 4 goals, well, I don't fucking care. Then that's 4 goals banged in. But I get your point, though. I get your point. Mark, good evening to you, mate. In his post-match press conference, Moyes was using fixture congestion as an excuse. Well, he's got a squad, hasn't he? By not using this squad, it's his fault the players are tired. Absolutely correct. I totally agree. Good evening to you, Jim. How are you, mate? I hope you're well. Rhonda and Tony again. Moyes should pick his starting 11 against Man United and leave them at home tomorrow. We can get a result against Man United and have no chance against City. I kind of agree with that. And at the same time, I go... You throw all your eggs into that one basket. What happens if you lose that game as well? That really will be squeaky bum time. Pete, and we'll be there on Sunday doing the Manc double Etihad tomorrow. Oh, I won't be there tomorrow. First, I won't be there tomorrow. And I won't be there on Sunday because I'll be away. So I hope you lads have a good time. Steve, good evening to you, mate. Thank you for joining. Thanks for your message earlier on. Good evening to you, Aaron. Got more chance of getting a reach around from Queen Mother than us getting from the City game. That's a bit spooky. Robert, money to burn with the heating on. Well, mate, it's effing cold. Trust me, it's effing cold. I'm going to turn it off in a minute, though. Good evening to you, Scott. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining, mate. Steve, love. I'd play Downs, Lanzini, Cornet, Ings at City. Rest players for the Sunday game because I reckon we can beat United. See, there's a lot of consensus about that. Like, people are saying much the same thing. I'm worried, you know, not so much worried about tomorrow because, you know, if we get anything, it's going to be whoopee. But I'm worried that people think we can beat Man United. They're not. You know, another team that VAR could go for them. Did I say that out loud? Do we retake for this game? Do you think? I think we should. I do, without, you know, sort of damaging us too much. I think we've got enough decent players in the squad to actually be able to rotate. And when I get to doing the preview, I'll let you know what I think should happen. But I'm not Moyes. Black Country, heard you're on Claret and Booze the other night. Were you, mate? I hope you enjoyed yourself. Who else we got? Flameur, good evening to you, mate. Millwall coming up. We'd love to play them home and away. They will smash up Westfield. They'll smash up our stadium. Maybe that's when we can have it rebuilt. They'll smash it up and then we can have it rebuilt. Andrew, put Mbama on the bench as we all presume a bad result tomorrow. What is the harm in trying something different again? Yeah, I get the Mbama thing. I do. Will he play? No. Will he get any minutes? Probably not. E. Davis. VAR seems to work very well for the big clubs. Very efficient. Of course it does. Scott, the technology of VAR is fine. Yeah, I know. This is a good point. It is the refs using it. Sad. The other countries don't have issues with it. Didn't we think during the World Cup that VAR looked like it was going to be finally sorted out? Look at the way VAR was used there. It was quick. It was rapid. The decisions were correct. Like 9 times out of 10, they hardly made errors, and it was fast. So why don't we have the same here? Is it because they have different camera angles than we do? Maybe that's the issue. I don't know. Adam, good evening to you. You're not late, mate. I've only just started. Keith, how are you? Galispera to you. No problem. You're all entitled to be late. It's me that shouldn't be late. Sharky. Brilliant performance by the U team last Tuesday. And I'm going to talk about that as well. It felt like a lifetime ago. Schmiegel, I do think we will survive relegation now, but will we survive because we're better or because there's quite a few teams that are worse? Well, it's beginning to look like it's because we're worse. Another up? No. Just a little short trip to Portugal. Nowhere special. James, good evening to you. A superior goal difference can be worth a point. It can indeed at the end of the season. So putting out a weekend team versus City is a pretty Spursy idea. Ooh. Vina, everyone thought West Ham would get trounced by Arsenal. Good point. The rest is history. City only beat Fulham 2-1. So why will they trounce West Ham? I agree. I absolutely agree. If we go for them, if we give them something to worry about, then you never know what the outcome might be. Look, we got cheated, let's be honest, against Liverpool last week. That shouldn't have been a 2-1 result. That should have been a penalty. It should have been a 2-2. So you could argue we played well against Liverpool. I think we backed off them a little bit. Certainly not the way we were at Arsenal the week before. But every game is worth fighting for. It's just how Moyes goes about it, I guess. Steve, are you thinking of doing another guest show in the future? I am indeed, Steve, and I will get in touch with you. It's taken me this whole season to work out what shows I'm going to be doing moving forward, and I will announce them soon because some things have worked, some things haven't, some things have not even taken off the ground, but that's one of them that I'm going to push for next season. Rhonda and Tony, City didn't look great last game without Kevin, and they're saying he's out tomorrow. Good point. Good evening, Robert. Can't stay awake till 11 o'clock to... Yes, you can. Adam, it's all about Leeds and Leicester. A couple of draws and a win of the games, I said, and we stay up. We don't want it to go down to that, though, do we? Really, I said this in the other day. We really don't want to go into, we could lose our next 3 games. We could lose against Man City. We could lose against Man United. We could lose against Brentford. And we might just be keeping our heads above water. But do we really want to go into the last 2 games needing that elusive 1 win? I don't know. I'd be worried. I'd rather we get a point or 2 here or there by the time we reach the Leeds game. Because if we do get a point or 2, I think then we can start breathing a little easier. The last thing we want is a Leeds United team coming to West Ham needing points, and they're going to be going for it, and then going to Leicester the last game of the season needing a win to stay up as well. I wouldn't want to relish that. VAR is now being used in restaurants in America to validate I slip claims by customers. Is that true? Good evening, Funky. I'm laughing, but that might be. I don't know if you're joking or not. Funky T, good evening to you. Evening, still a bit late. Have I missed anything? Not at all. If I have, can I have a VAR? Well, everyone said that we're absolutely going to smash Man City tomorrow. That's what the replay said. The VAR said. Schmiegel, I want Moyes to set up to attack against Man City. I don't want us to sit back for most of the game. Would rather lose and give it a go than just have them roll us over. I do absolutely agree. Right. I tell you what, why don't we go into what is the first part of the show? Well, there's some general news actually to go before and I'll come back to your comments in a minute. Some general news to bring you up to date on. As we all know, renewal notifications came out last week, didn't they? With a significant increase in season ticket prices, something like about 8% all round. In a time when there's a cost of living crisis, this increase is most unwelcome. The price hike is likely to raise an additional £2.5 million in revenue. Hardly earth-shattering for West Ham United. It's not as if you can go out and buy a footballer for that. Well, I don't know. Moyes might be able to get one from League One or something like that. But for individual season ticket holders, an 8% increase is most unwelcome in this time of days. Then there's the issue of West Ham United deciding to increase the pensioner season ticket rate age. It went from 65 to 66. Now, apparently, only 2 Premier League clubs have done that: West Ham United and Aston Villa. And Aston Villa, the head of ticketing used to run the head of ticketing at Aston Villa, and now she runs the head of ticketing at West Ham. So why have they done this? Because even that, there's a small proportion of people that were waiting. They reached the age of 65 this year, or are coming up to the end of the season, and they were waiting to get their discounted season ticket. They're going to have to wait another year. Now, West Ham United didn't consult anybody on this. We've got the ISC, Independent Supporters Committee. They didn't. They only told them the day before the actual announcement. So there was no consultation process involved in all this. They just decided to do it, which is pretty poor form, to be quite honest with you. I think it's pretty bad of them to have made a decision without sort of talking to the fan base about it first. But anyway, season ticket renewals are open. I think someone might remind me. I think the end date for current season ticket holders to renew is something like the 15th or 16th of June. So if you're a season, most of us are going to do it. We're beholden to West Ham, aren't we? We'll go whether we're in this league, championship, etc., whether we're 63, 64, 65 or 80, we'll still go. Anyway, what else have we got? Well, Karen Brady has made a few comments of late, stating that a deal for the London Stadium naming rights, where it suggested that the current shirt sponsors, Betway, will become stadium sponsors in the future. Load of nonsense, she said. With betting companies only having a few years left on sponsoring shirts in the football clubs, Brady has stated that West Ham are already on the search for a new sponsor for the shirt, and indeed would make sense for a shirt sponsor to also become a stadium sponsor. However, it won't be Betway. And there won't be any link to the shirt and stadium naming rights because, as Brady has emphatically pointed out, the naming rights are not for West Ham to sell. The naming rights are for LLDC, who are still in charge of the stadium, to sell. And she said if she had access to selling the naming rights of the stadium, it would have been done 10 years ago. A bit cut in there, Karen. Now, we all know that how many tickets we now have for the away game, the semi-final away game against AZ Alkmaar, don't we? 975 tickets have been allocated to West Ham United. It's no surprise. It's a stadium of 19,500 seats. It was obvious that the 5% allocation wasn't even going to hit 1,000. And unfortunately, AZ have just given us that. They've given us the minimum commitment they have to give of 5%. Look, as much as it's been absolutely fantastic following West Ham United around Europe this season, the low capacity of some of the stadiums have been a cause of frustration for an awful lot of fans who follow West Ham home and away, away games, European games, etc., etc. Should we make the final in Prague at the Eden Arena, that also has a stadium capacity of just under 20,000 as well. However, the two teams that reached the final have been given an allocation of just 5,000 of the just under 20,000 tickets, which means about 9,500 tickets will go on general sale. It'll go to corporates, it'll go to friends and family and all that sort of stuff. Of the 4 teams that are left in the competition, only AZ Alkmaar have a small stadium capacity. The others, Basel, play in a stadium of around 37,500. Fiorentina have got a stadium capacity of 43,000. And of course, West Ham, a stadium capacity of over 60,000. You would think that UEFA would show some common sense, wouldn't you? And have made more tickets available for the teams that are going to get to the final, rather than restricting it just to 5,000 each. It's a little bit frustrating, but there you go. What can you do? It is what it is. Right, let's go back into your chat. Let's see what other comments we've got. Dizzy, we need the relegation wrapped up for Europe. I agree, which is why I want us to get at least a point or two before. A point. in either of the games at Man City or at Man United, I think would help us immensely. So we can go into that first leg semi-final with a little bit of confidence. Howard, Mondays are not the same voice. Actually, I won't be back next week, but I'll tell you about that later. Mark, Stel, which of the academy players do you think could make it into the first team if Moyes leaves this summer? I know what people think. I know people say it's all about Moyes. He doesn't bring young players, etc. And I've tried. It's not that I'm protecting Moyes. Please don't get me wrong. But you find an awful lot of Premier League teams don't pull in an awful lot of their academy players. I think the percentage for the number of academy players coming through into Premier League teams is something like 3%. So you're talking about 90% 97% of academy players never make it in the Premier League, or they go out, to other clubs and maybe come through again, like Josh Cullen and players like that. But which of them do I think will make it, whether he's there or not? I think Mbama is certainly one player that I think could go out on loan next season. I think I said that in the show last week. I think it's quite possible that someone like Mbama will go out on loan next season, hopefully to a championship team, score a hatful of goals, and then come back, and then maybe the season after be ready for first team football. Other than him, the academy, I'm going to talk about the academy in a moment. There's a number of really fine players that will come through, but I don't think they'll just jump straight into the senior team. I think Mbama is the one that's closest to it. There are others, Kadua, Callum Marshall, several others, Heggie, the under 21s keeper. There are several others that could eventually come through. Even if Moyes leaves, I'm still not sure that we'll see that many academy players coming into the senior team anytime soon. Good evening, Bradley. I hope you're well, mates. Leeds will probably beat us if Big Sam is definitely appointed. It's the West Ham way. Isn't that mad? Isn't that mad? Sam Allardyce is back. You can't keep a good man down, can you? Good evening to you, Si. That's mad. I hope he takes them down. Good evening to you, Si. How are you, mate? I hope you're well. Daniela Stel. Man United weak in defence and a poor away from home doesn't mean anything. They come to meet West Ham United and all of a sudden they play like fucking Real Madrid and Barcelona combined. Mandy, how are you? Oi, oi to you. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Black Country, get Nigel Khan on for Big Fat Sam's case. We will. When we do the next Friday Night Live, I'll get Nigel on. He will have his say on he'll have a history of him, wouldn't he? He'll go through all the stats, the whole thing. You can see he'll be in his element. Good evening to you, James. You're not late, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Andrew, I'm holding off renewal. An extra £100 makes a difference to me. It makes a difference to a lot of people. Mine's gone up, I think, 50, 60 quid, something like that. It's like, what a time to put prices up when really, in all honesty, they didn't really have to be honest with you. Tony, good evening to you, mate. 1,600 quid they want to meet. Fucking hell. What? Jesus, 1,600. What? Where are you in the stadium? Because I thought the top one was about £1,000. You must be in the really, really, really posh seats. London Voice, good evening to you. West Ham have some really tough games coming up. We do, absolutely. Every game is tough, but as I've said before, I think in last week's show, Man City and Man United coming up, then Brentford away. We haven't beaten Brentford in the Premier League yet so far, and if we go through those games without winning and then getting to the Leeds and Leicester games to win, get points, I don't know. Si, could you imagine West Ham getting relegated? Oh, fuck me. Can you imagine? Jesus Christ. That would be sad, wouldn't it? We'd never, ever live that down in our history, would we? That would be extremely sad. Sharky, Leeds went from attacking football under Bielsa to dinosaur football under Big Sam. But don't think that, you know what? He could get him out of trouble. Let's be honest. He could get them out of trouble. Good evening, Garino. Good evening, Fo. I hope you're both well. Thank you for joining, lads. Right, I'll tell you what. Let's go into the next main part of the show, and that's all about the youth. So we all know what happened, didn't we, last week? West Ham United under-18s were in the FA Youth Cup final. So many fans there, so many good faces I saw there last week. 7,000 fans went to the Emirates. Here's a quiz question for you for the future. When was the last time I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles was played at the Emirates? Yeah, they had to play I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles at the end of the game. It will never happen again, so make the most of it, people, because we were surprised. It's like they put it over the tannoy, and it's like, that's a quiz question for the future, isn't it? When was the last time Bubbles was played at the Emirates, or the only time? Look, it's been such a long week in football that I'd actually almost be forgiven about even remembering what happened last Tuesday. We won in style on Tuesday evening. We've done the League Cup and double now, taking on Arsenal in the FA Youth Cup, and what a performance it was. After a shaky start, let's be honest, where we admittedly Arsenal had the better of us, especially in midfield, we went a goal down. But we stormed back with for a fantastic convincing win. Like I say, 7,000 fans. I tell you what, the young lads lapped it up, and it was really, really good for them, actually, to be honest with you, to have such fantastic support. I think they loved it. You could see that they were chuffed playing in front of such a great crowd. I think the overall attendance was something like 20,000, but their fans were sort of allotted all over the place. Now, if they were sensible enough and actually had specific areas to put all the fans together, that might have made a slightly different environment for Arsenal. But let's be honest, they were always going to get smashed. So there you go. Look, so many players shone throughout the game. But despite West Ham scoring 5 goals, Divine and Barmer didn't even get one, surprisingly enough. But this was a true demonstration of a team in harmony. And it's no surprise that Kevin Keane is proud of this crop of young players. He said himself that they're the best crop of young players that he's had to manage. It's unfair to pick any particular player in particular, because the whole team played really, really well. Yet when this season we've been praising especially Ollie Scholes and Divine and Barmer, and thinking that they're the only players that are going to break through, you'd be forgiven to think that there weren't any other standout players in this final, but there were, and there were loads of them. Caelan Casey, centre back, started off a little bit shaky, but really grew into the game, scored a goal as well. The midfield duo of Patrick Kelly and Lewis Orford, I mean, it's so settled, so sublime, really excellent in midfield. Then you had the attacking midfielders of Callum Marshall, George Earthy, and Gideon Kadua. They all grabbed a goal each as well. When fans say that or question why we have the academy, this is why we do. And it was an absolutely fantastic night out. Really, really well done to them. They've done the double and onwards and upwards. They played their final league game at the weekend, where they beat Fulham 3-2. So the season wasn't over just yet, but that was their final game. On Saturday, they played against them 3-2 at home, which means that they now in the league had 19 wins, no draws, and just 3 defeats. They scored 75 goals in the league with only 32 conceded, giving us a massive 43-point goal difference and 18 points clear of second place Fulham. It was a very different West Ham team that took to the field that day, with only Orford and Marshall in the starting lineup that played in the final as well. We went a goal behind in that game. We seem to be doing that. We do that in the senior team. We seem to be doing that in the under-18s. The only difference is the under-18s go and smash teams when we go a goal down. But we went a goal down early in the game, but a brace from Marshall put us 2-1 up. Fulham equalised soon after the second half started, but a late strike from another, watch this name, Favour for Wumney. I hate doing that because every time someone reminded me today that every time I talk, it was James Allen. Every time I talk about a young player and say, watch out for this name, they fucking fall away. Jesus Christ. But watch out for Favour for Wumney, another young hammer who scored the goal, which gave us our 19th league win. It seems that the academy is already making plans for some of these youngsters to move up and move a step up into next season. And I'll let you know what I mean by that when I talk about the under-21s game that was played the other day. The under-18s has got one more game to go, and that's the national final against Manchester City to see who are going to be overall champions of the under-18s. Man City, they won. They finished their league with 57 points, 81 goals scored, 23 conceded, but they did play 2 games more than West Ham in their Northern League. So in fairness, on paper, their overall league status is marginally better than West Ham's because of the fewer goals they conceded. But the playoff has been announced, and it's going to be on the 10th of May, kickoff at 7 o'clock at their ground, Man City's ground. Not only did we have to do it the hard way by beating Arsenal on their turf, we now got to win the playoff on Man City's turf. It's on the 10th of May, 7 o'clock kickoff. If you fancy going and supporting the young lads, look, I don't know how many. The tickets haven't been announced yet, or certainly hadn't been before I put this show on. So I'm sure they'll be announced anytime soon. But wouldn't that be nice for a few fans to go up and support West Ham United again? I think they're a great young team. You know, there's not a lot more to say about them. It's been a superb season for them, and long may it rain. Now, I talked about some of the players going up to the next level. When the under-21s played the other day, we beat Leicester 2-0, by the way. And most of the team that played in the FA Youth Cup final was in the under-21s team, which was great. George Earthy, Divine Mbama, several other players were selected to play against them. George Earthy and Mbama got the 2 goals to beat Leicester as well. It was a game that needed to be won because that gives us a little bit of a cushion now above Spurs of all teams to not go down. I think we've got to get one more point in our last few games in the under-21s in order to stay up, and I hope they do that because I'd really, really like to see the under-18s. Most of them moving up and staying up in the under-21s and see what they do next season. So I think that will be fantastic, and well done to them as well. It's been great. The under-21s have had it rocky, but it seems that every time they get the under-18s into the under-21s, they seem to do quite well. So there are big hopes for a lot of the under-18s, but do not expect a whole horde of under-18 players to all of a sudden start playing senior football. It doesn't work that way. You know, some of them, look, I think I said it after the game against Arsenal, they are enjoying their football. Let them enjoy the football. Let them really sort of enjoy what's happening at the moment. Let them go into the under-21s. Maybe 1 or 2 will go out on loan. Maybe Mbama will go out on loan next season. Let them enjoy their football and then come back for the real challenge of playing senior team football. Don't expect them all to be jumping into the first team football straight away. Right, comments, and then I'll go into the next part of the show. Steve, Prague as a final venue just shows what UEFA think of the conference. Really shit venue. I mean, I guess, you know, do you know the irony? I get the whole idea of the Europa Conference. It is about the teams that sort of like past glories. There's an awful lot of teams that have had great years in European football, but kind of fallen away. And, well, we're one of them. Let's be honest. Last time we won a European trophy was back in '76. So I get it. But they've not made that. When they see that teams who are left in the tournament have got big capacities, then they should be thinking about moving the venue. Have 2 venues. Say it'll be this venue if it's you know, for the smaller teams. There'll be other venues in consideration if bigger teams get through to the final. Good evening, Dan. I hope you're well. Been a while since I've made a live show. Thank you for joining, mate. Really much appreciated. I hope all is well with you as well. London boys, how many points in the next 3 league games? 4. All right, 3. All right, maybe 1. Usual suspect. West Ham are sponsored next season by St. John's Ambulance. I'm coming to him. I'm coming to Mr. Zouma. Good evening to you, Debbie and Mark. Sorry, I'm a little late. See, I mean, everyone's apologizing. I love that. Everyone's apologizing to me for a change, for everyone being late. I hope you're well, Debbie and Mark. But as they say, better late than never. Poor match officiating has cost us points at a crucial stage. Points against City, win against United, get to the final. Fuck me, you are confident. But that's what I mean. That's football. Stranger things have happened. Dan, would like to see Freddie Potts get a go soon. I think he's a little bit way behind. He's been playing for the under-21s. Let's see what happens next season. It'll be interesting to see who goes out on loan next season. I think quite possibly Mbama may do. I mean, there was something like 40-odd scouts at the final at the Emirates last week. There was something like nearly 40-odd scouts at the semi-final against Southampton the few weeks before. I think there are going to be a few players that will go out on loan, but then just going to see what happens. Like players that have gone out on loan in the under-21s this season haven't done that well whilst being on loan. Most of them have been called back as well. I'm going to talk about them in a minute. So it depends on where they go on loan, what league they go out on loan at, and also whether they actually get any game time. Potts could be one of those players that may well go out on loan next season. Dodsey, how are you, mate? She's much better, thank you. Was with her all day yesterday. Thank you, mate. Just to let you know, the horse is better than... Oh, yeah. I read that story. That was one of your mates, wasn't it, Dodsey? I don't know if you guys know. Apparently, one of Dodsey's mates had a fight with a police horse, and the police horse came out worse. No, I hope he's all right, mate, by the way. Did he chip his bone or something like that? It must be in pain. Graham, still, sign me up for a fan contribution program next season. I totally enjoyed doing the show and was so far it was the best 15 minutes of my dreary season. I absolutely will. As somebody asked earlier on, I think it was Steve. You know, I did trial a show. I only did a couple, one or two. Graham was one of the first, or was the first guest, where I had a fan or a viewer come on and talk about West Ham. So I will be doing that more regularly next season. I promise. London boys, I have 600 on West Ham going down. I'm tired. London boys, what's going on, mate? I'm guessing you're not a West Ham fan, but you're welcome anyway. Steve, Nigel keeps banging on about the conference. I don't give a shit about it, to be honest, until we are safe. Look, they're both important. The conference is a good thing to have. Look, let's not knock it. Of course, Premier League safety is important. Absolutely, 100% agree. But boy, oh boy, don't we need to lift our spirits and get to a final and win that final? I think it would be fantastic. Howard, Tony gets a complimentary handshake from Brady with his ticket. Are you in the posh seats, Tony? You are, mate, aren't you? Black Country. Don't understand. We are not safe. Can't understand some fans. Just my opinion. Do the math. I agree. We're not. I don't think we are. I think 3 points, I think, will make us safe. 1 point is the road to safety, but I'm with you. We're not safe yet at all. Dodsey, they didn't need to put season ticket prices up with the increase in costs. We don't any part of the stadium peppercorn rent. And no, I agree. You're absolutely right. Your point there is right. I said that earlier on. There's absolutely no reason to have put the price up. There was no need, to be quite honest with you. I don't know what's London saying. London. Why not? London, are you a West Ham fan? London voice. Let's scroll down and who else have we got? Good evening to you, Martin. I hope you're well. Late joining. What's going on? Should I have started this at 9:30? Maybe I'll start all my shows at 9:30 so you're not all late. It's outrageous that you all turn up late for my shows. There you Mark. I don't know what's wrong. What's worse? Someone backing West Ham to be relegated, or Big Sam having a potential one last dance at Leeds? Someone backing West Ham to be relegated is wrong. So no, I don't think it's good. Rhonda and Tony. Under 21s have improved so much when the under 18 kids moved up to 21s. You answered that. You said the same thing, mate. Absolutely. Look, London voice, you're more than welcome, but let's all chill, yeah? Let's make sure that we don't start arguing in the chat, because I don't want to block anyone. So by all means, have your comments, have your say, etc., but no arguing, please. Okay? I can see some arguments. I'm not going to put them up. So anyway. Black Country. Oh, I understand, Garino. Sorry, mate. I'm an old fart. What did Garino say? Garino. Could Lampard have been the first ever manager to manage two teams to get relegated if Chelsea and Everton both went down? That's another good quick quiz. Well, they're not going down, are they? Black Country. I understand, Garino. Sometimes you get lost with it, buddy. Sorry, mate. I know now. What did you know? What did Garino say that you now know? Oh, it's too far up, so I can't go up to have a look. Debbie and Mark. All I'm going to say is, which I hope is the last on the matter, is London boys, why say you have a bet on us being relegated and chat full of true West Ham supporters hoping we survive relegation? It's weird. London voice, are you a West Ham fan? I haven't seen your comments, so I don't know. Foe, what's wrong, mate? Sorry, I need to message Budgie this week to pass you my number. Okay. Our sincere condolences, mate. I hope you're well. Good evening to you, Richard. I hope you're well. We are doomed without a point against Brentford. Well, we're not doomed, but it would be nice to get at least a point between now and then. Adam, it's squeaky bum time. Always going to happen when the way we played all year, but stay up and win the conference. I still have some confidence. I think some of us still have. Daniela, a controlled explosion has taken place and a man was arrested outside Buckingham Palace after throwing suspected shotgun cartridges into the palace ground. Bloody hell, it's all going off tonight. What's happening? Fo, okay, how was the penalty for Eze on Saturday? Somebody please explain, even after VAR check. You tell me, mate. You tell me how that was a penalty, because it was the softest of soft penalties ever to have happened. It was right in front of the ref as well. You know, it's really, really weird. Good evening to you, Devin and Dave. I hope you're well. I gave you a shout out. You must have missed it. I think it would be brilliant if we win the conference. Not quite safe yet, but feel we get the 2 or 3 points needed. Sorry, I'm late too. Oh, everyone's been watching the football. That's why you're all late. Now I know. Matt, this is why I don't like outsiders coming in. They mostly cause confrontation. Now, ignore them. Seriously, you've only got to take the piss out of them and ignore them like I do, or invite them in, make them feel really guilty for being so stupid. Andrew, does anyone know if the second leg of the conference will be at the cinema? At the cinema? I actually don't know. That's a good question. Well, I'm going to find a link for it. I'll be in Cyprus. Don't. I'm missing more games than I care to imagine. Anyway, no, Stel, you normally don't turn up till 9. There you go. Good evening to you, Paul. I hope you're well. The Conference League is so important. Wouldn't it? Will get us back into the Europa League. This is part of the bigger picture. Imagine getting back into Europe 3 seasons in a row. Never happened before. Never in our history have we been in Europe 3 seasons in a row. That would be absolutely phenomenal. So it is important. Flimmer, under Moyes, we're never safe. I'm worried he will F up the European Cup and the league. Mathematically, we're not near safe. In football, anything can happen. I do totally agree. I do totally 100% agree. Yes, you are a West Ham fan. Well, you're winding everyone up. So just be nice. I don't know why you put a bet on for us to be relegated. That's your own. I don't know what's going on in your mind, but why would you want to bet against your own team going down? Even if the odds are good. Bit weird, but anyway. Steve, been shafted by 2 refs lately. I know we played bad in Saturday, but should be on 36 points. We should. Well, if you look back at some of the things that have happened, the Cornet disallowed goal earlier in the season would have given us a point. Liverpool missed penalty would have given us a point. Nottingham Forest missed penalty would have given us a point. That's 3 points we would have had more, plus the last 2 or 3 points that we missed out. We could actually be now on 40, 41 points had VAR gone our way. VAR has been fucking awful for us this season. It's been the worst. And I don't want to be that conspiracy theorist, but it really does feel as if we've been shafted by VAR against Chelsea early season, against Liverpool the other day, against Crystal Palace the other day. That's 3 points. We missed 2 bloody penalties against Nottingham Forest and against Liverpool. That's another 2 points that we missed out on. It's bad. It's bad. Right, Ray turned up late, but I did bring some beers. Nice one, mate. I hope you're well, and thank you for joining. James, I thought for a while now that we should drop the under-18s and under-21s and have an under-19s team. Where has football gone with the 18s and 19-year-olds in the first team getting plenty of game time? Have they ever got plenty of game time? Let's not forget we had much, much smaller squads in the past where we had to use youngsters. Squads now, they're 25, 26 players we've got in senior squads. You know, you've got to be exceptional. The last few years we've had Ben Johnson come through and Declan Rice come through in the last, 3-4 years. If we get another 2 players coming through from the academy over the next 2 years, is that failure? I don't really know that it is, to be quite honest with you. I think that will be quite successful. I'm not expecting much more than 1 or 2 players to come through next season or the season after, to be honest. I know they look great. The only trouble is, what I miss is reserve team football. Reserve team football really did show which of the academy players were really up for it, because you were playing a mixture of youngsters and senior players coming back from injury and all that sort of stuff. And that was a much, much better test for some of the youngsters sort of breaking through. The under-18s are only playing against the under-18s, the under-16s against the under-16s, under-21s only against the under-21s. You get a measure, but you don't really know how much they really will fare until they start playing senior football. Now, I know a lot of you are going to go, well, give them an opportunity in senior football. Well, if you're exceptional, you'll get that opportunity. Now, I know people say, oh, it's David Moyes. He doesn't pick the youngsters. He doesn't have faith in them. Trust me when I say this, it's not just about Moyes. It really isn't. It's about a lot of senior teams. And when you look at some of the when you look at some of the Premier League teams that bring youngsters through, even Guardiola does it. Guardiola will put a youngster on the bench. When he's winning 8-0, he'll bring him on for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. You know, that's how it works. Rarely, very rarely do you see a youngster being used from the start. It happens, but not as often as people think. I'm not going to go on about it. But anyway, Garino, to think that Klopp said he didn't see the handball again, but felt he could run up the touchline to confront the ref because a decision went against him. FA should ban him for a while. He wouldn't do. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with David Moyes. Apparently, the FA are interested in his comments. Too fucking right they're interested in his comments. We've been cheated. We've been cheated. It's as simple as that. Black Country, VAR, sign of the times, I'm afraid it is. You know, and those who wanted it, and I hold my hand up and I made a mistake. I said, it'll be fantastic having technology to help with decision making. Well, only if it got it bloody well right. NWO. Play kids at top level. They die out before their peak. Owen was a prime example. Good shout. Good point. John, go back to having one sub, then you can have reserve team football. Wow. Having 3 subs, but not 1. My God, that really is the old days, John. Usual suspect. Klopp took a liberty on Sunday. Klopp took a liberty on Sunday. He absolutely did. Good evening to you, Eddie. I hope you're well. No team brings academy players through. No manager will risk academy players when results are not good. I agree. I do agree. Debbie and Mark. Was happy to see Liverpool snatch the winner against Spurs, as then the equaliser Richarlison scored started being cocky towards Liverpool fans after look what happened. I know. It's always good to see them lose. Anthony, good evening to you. 33-1 bet is very good odds for a punter. If checking the games left, then the idea is beating the bookies after all. 3 will go down from about 6 teams, which I agree with. 33-1 on anyone sounds reasonable after a few losses, but don't put it on West Ham going down. E. Davis, we have been incredibly terrible this season. We are lucky that so many teams fell apart this year. That is very true. We have been shit. There's no 2 ways about it. Totally agree. What pees me off is over the last 2 years, we were in the top 6 and everyone said we were punching above our weight. Newcastle and Brighton get there once and they're doing fantastic. That's a really good point. Garino, media is just as bad. When Klopp does it, it's passion. Someone else and they call him a disgrace. You are absolutely correct in that. Right. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go into the next part of the show and then I'm going to come back to all your comments in a little while. I know you're waiting for the Declan news, aren't you? And you're waiting for the Zooming news and you're waiting for the Scamacca news. Well, it's coming up. So, first of all, let's talk about players on loan. Nikola Vlasic was the second half sub in the Torino game against Atalanta at the weekend. They had to win this game to stand any chance of trying to make ground to get a European slot in their league standing next season. However, it was the visitors who came out 2-1 winners, leaving Torino dropping 1 place to 12th in the league and 15 points behind 6th place Roma. With just 6 games remaining, Torino are going to have to win every one of their games and hope that teams above them drop an awful lot of points for them to stand any chance of European football. Now, as mentioned a few weeks ago, that leaves a massive question mark over whether Torino will sign Vlasic on a permanent basis. They were relying on getting into Europe in order to be able to afford him, even though it was only something like £13 million, and also to take on his wages, because we're still paying a portion of his wages as well whilst he's out on loan. So it's very likely, do not be surprised if Nikola Vlasic comes back to West Ham United at the end of this season. Now, it's quite possible we'll either sell him or we'll send him back out on loan elsewhere. But it's highly likely that Torino will not be signing Vlasic on a permanent basis because they just haven't made Europe. Now, Connor Coventry, he missed Rotherham United's 1-0 win over Middlesbrough at the weekend because of muscle injury. Middlesbrough have already made it into the Championship playoffs, but that win for Rotherham means that they've secured their Championship status for another season. So well done to them. And I can just see quite possibly Connor Coventry becoming a permanent Rotherham player. I think he's done excellent for them since he's moved there in the January transfer window. He needed regular game time. He's got it. He's really demonstrated what a good player he is. Maybe only at Championship level. You don't know. He could come back, take Declan's place if we sell Declan at the end of the season. Another player out on loan is Brian Kinnear. He was part of the Falkirk team, which lost 3-0 to Inverness Caledonian Thistle in the semi-finals at the Scottish Cup at the weekend. Falkirk were victims to a poor VAR decision for a penalty in the first half. There you go. It even happens up there as well. They must know he's a West Ham player on loan, so they must have ruled VAR against him. That followed by Inverness's second on 57 minutes, and then they added a third late on. Unlucky to Falkirk, unlucky to Kinnear. He's also having regular game time. Can't see him coming back to West Ham United. We've got a lot of good young goalkeepers, and it's quite possible that Kinnear might be way down the pecking order should he come back to West Ham. A player that I think quite possibly will come back to West Ham, another keeper, is Nathan Trott. After 4 draws in a row, Nathan Trott and Visual BK were back to winning ways in a 2-1 win over at home over Helsingør at the weekend. With the latest in a series, this was the latest in a series of promotion playoff games, and I put Visual in a fantastic position in their bid for promotion into the Danish Superliga or whatever they call it. Trott continues to impress, and actually created the assist for Vagel's second goal with a long ball with only 8 minutes played. The visitors came back strong, but Trott pulled off a number of really decent saves to keep them at bay. So, well done to Nathan Trott. He's had his contract extended, I'm sure you may already know, last summer, and he could be a player that will come back and maybe stake a claim in, as third choice keeper, depending on what happens with Fabianski next season. Another player out on loan who's finally getting a bit more game time is Thierry Nevers, who had another start for Bradford City in their 2-1 away win against Northampton at the weekend. The defeat meant that Northampton were not able to secure promotion from League Two, but they're still well placed to do so, lying third in the league. As for Bradford, they're now in the playoff position and equal on points with Carlisle and Salford above them. Nevers was replaced on the 58th minute, whilst the score was 1-0, with Mark Hughes bringing on another striker looking for that second goal. Isn't that great? You're winning and you bring on a striker. I wish we had a manager that did that. Right, Kurt Zouma. As we saw in the Palace game at the weekend, Kurt Zouma was caught on the ankle whilst trying to prevent Palace's second goal. Zouma's ankle swelled up and he underwent a scan on Monday, confirming that he had indeed damaged ankle ligaments. That's not good. And despite David Moyes suggesting that the player heals quickly, we know that this is not the case, as has been proven with Kurt Zouma when he's had injuries, not only in the past season, not only in this season, but in previous seasons as well. Whilst there's every hope that the player will be back to his from his latest setback before the season ends, it will be of absolutely no surprise if we don't see him in action again this season. This is Zouma's third injury in this season, where he's already missed 12 games due to a knee injury and then swiftly followed up by a hamstring injury. We've got 5 games left in the Premier League and, of course, the 2-legged Europa Conference semi-final against Alkmaar. And this injury couldn't have come at a worse time for us, which begs the question, why didn't we strengthen our defence in the January transfer window when we knew that Craig Dawson was definitely on his way to Wolves? And we also knew that Kurt Zouma is an accident waiting to happen. Not only that, Gerdon only come back after missing a large chunk of the beginning of the season. Imagine if he goes down injured in the next game or two. What then? Since joining the club in August 2021, Zouma has missed 11 games in his first season, as I mentioned, 12 games this season, and now could potentially miss 7 crucial games in the run-in for the end of this season. There's a suggestion that Zouma's injury might heal in a few weeks. I'm really doubtful. If it doesn't, it's possible. It's possible. I'm not saying he will, but it's possible that Kurt Zouma might need surgery on fixing the damaged ligaments. You can sew the damaged ligaments back. Now, if he has surgery, you're looking at a minimum of 2 months recuperation time, or even up to 12 weeks recuperation time. If he doesn't have surgery, and they're just going to see if it heals itself, that's a minimum of 4 weeks from now. So that takes us into what? Round about the end of May. He may be back, quite possibly, for the Leicester game. He may be back, quite possibly, for the final of the Europa Conference if we make it that far. So if he needs surgery, you're talking 12 weeks. If he doesn't need surgery, you're talking at least 4 weeks. I can't see the optimism, and I know Moyes said he heals quickly. He doesn't bloody heal quickly. I can't see the optimism that he'll be back anytime soon. He maybe might make the final game. But we know what Zouma's like when he comes back from injury. It takes him several games to get back up to speed. You see him, he's like a sort of, I don't know, he's like a lump, isn't he? It takes him time. It's like a slow engine revving up. It takes him a couple of games to get back into it. So let's say, for argument's sake, he does get back to full fitness by the Leicester game. Are you going to risk him in the Leicester game? And are you going to risk him in the final, knowing that it takes time, it takes him a couple of games to really get back into the swing of things? I don't know. I'm not so sure, to be quite honest with you. But anyway, if Zouma is out for the rest of the season, or a good chunk of it, which I think he will be, Moyes has got decisions to make. Does he stay with the back four? And he's got options of bringing, obviously, Ogbonna, who's been superb for us yet again, playing alongside a Gerd. But the only issue is with a Gerd, he's been erratic lately as well. Crystal Palace's third goal at the weekend, although blamed on Souček, was more a miscontrolling of the ball. Was it the third goal or the second goal? Was a miscontrolling of the ball. It was a missed pass by a Gerd. A Gerd hit the ball to Souček, who had a player right behind him. A Gerd could see that. God knows why a Gerd decided to pass it to a player that had a player right on his back. He's made several errors recently, hasn't he, Gerd? And it's a massive concern going into these games. Now, I think Ogbonna is a calming influence on him. I think Ogbonna, for some reason, is the sort of, because of his experience, etc., could actually calm a Gerd down, and it may be good. Other alternatives, go back to a back three with wing backs. He could bring Kehrer in. He could bring with Kehrer, a Gerd, and Ogbonna. Kehrer, a Gerd, and Creswell, or a Gerd, Ogbonna, Creswell, a combination of any of those. He's got choices there, but it is a massive concern, isn't it? I don't think Zouma's back anytime soon, and if he is, it'll be for probably the last game of the season. Maybe Leeds, but that is a really, really tall order. Next up is the case of the missing Gianluca. What has gone on here? 2 weeks ago, the Italian striker had minor surgery on his knee. It was confirmed that the surgery took literally minutes to treat a meniscus tear. With such minor injuries, or such minor surgery, should I say, the club were expecting the player to be back already to continue his rehabilitation. For a sports person, after 2 weeks from surgery, they should have the capacity to be able to fully move again. And it can take anything between 4 to 6 weeks to be fully active again, sporting-wise. So are we expecting Scamacca to be back, or is it too soon? Should the club really be expecting him to come back after just 2 weeks? There's talk that apparently we're only communicating through his new agency, CAA. We're not communicating directly with the player. The player isn't around. He's still, by the looks of things, he's still in Italy. Now, there's a feeling that the length of rehabilitation suggested for Scamacca's recovery, suggested of up to 3 months, is rather long for the procedure that he had. But that would conveniently take him well past the end of the season, and it may be, and as I mentioned, I think last week or the week before, it could be that we probably won't see Scamacca in a West Ham shirt again. I hope I'm wrong. I know he's put a notice up with a sort of the ticking thing, suggesting, I don't know, come back stronger or whatever. But I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But why would there be a suggestion that it's going to take 3 months for him to recover? The meniscus tear was minor. The surgery it was only to clear out the knee. So he should be back after 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks since he's had that surgery. So where is he? Will he be back soon? Let's see. The next week or so will determine Scamacca's future. What shall I say? If he's back, great. If he's not surprised. Right. What about Declan Rice? Has he given us the biggest hint yet that his playing days at West Ham United are not over? After reaching a 200th Premier League appearance milestone at the weekend, speaking to the official West Ham website, he said, "It's an honour to play 200 times for West Ham in the league," and added, "Here's to the next 200. Now, I know what you're all going to say. Well, yeah, in the next 200, but not in a West Ham shirt. And that's quite possible. It's incredible, he said. It's absolutely amazing, and down to all the people around me who have kept me level-headed and pushing me to do even better. So hopefully it's 200 now, and here's to the next 200. I don't know. Am I reading too much into it? Of course I am. And why not? Look, when he states 200, like I say, it may not necessarily be in a West Ham shirt. But bear with me for clutching at straws here, because Rice went on to say, in 4 years, things have happened so quickly. You hear a lot about ex-footballers say that your career goes so quickly, so enjoy every moment. For me, it's absolutely flown by to get to 200 appearances. Obviously, I'm only 24 and have such a long way to go, but it feels like a real milestone to hit, because some players don't even get to 100 or 150 games. It's a real honour to captain West Ham United, especially at this club. If you look at the history and the captains they've had, to be able to do this season, it's fallen on my shoulders and I'm relishing it. I really love it. And like I said, it's just an honour to wear the armband at this club. Look, Declan Rice has got an awful lot of affection for West Ham United. You know, they've given them the opportunity to become a career footballer in the Premier League. He will never, ever, sort of say anything bad about West Ham. And I just wonder, I'm not expecting Declan Rice to play another 200 games for West Ham United, but there's a possibility. Look what he said. I'm only 24, only with a long way to go. He himself knows that he could give us another season. Now, I know his value will go down because he'd have run out his contract. We still do have the option to extend his contract, by the way, which we may take that option up. Who knows? But I know he would, if he runs down his contract, he can walk away for nothing. And I said this last week. It might appeal to Declan Rice and his father agent to say, give it another season. We can then walk away from West Ham with our heads held high, and then we can go to any club at any price, a signing on fee, any club that we want to go to. The big difference at the moment is that West Ham United can turn around and accept a fee for a club that Declan may not want to go to. Whereas if he walks away on a free at the end of next season, and then he has the option to decide where he will go and play his football. So that makes me wonder, and maybe I am clutching at straws, but that does make me wonder, will Declan Rice actually stay another season in order to determine his own future? And the way he talks so well about West Ham, he's very much in our debt. He loves it here. He's the captain of this club. He feels honoured to be here, and so on and so forth. And West Ham have also made it really, really clear that they won't sell him for anything less than £100 million. So if a team comes in and says 80, 90, we might turn around and go, no, on your bike. Who knows? I know I'm clutching, but let's see what your views are before I go into the final part of the show. So let's scroll down and let's see what we've got. WHU, good evening all. I agree still, reserve team football. The last time we had it was under Harry. I can remember going to Rush Green to watch. Yeah, that really sorts out, who really is really capable of playing senior team football, because they're playing against senior players coming back from injury, reserve players and all that sort of stuff. Steve, like I said, bring back football combination. Garino, go back to the trenches. Heavy artillery, machine guns and football can only be played on Christmas Day in no man's land over a bar of chocolate and a bit of Silent Night. So let's scroll down. VAR technology is not the problem. It's how it's being implemented by whom. They're all cheats. And refereeing standards are horrendous at the moment. They're all cheats. Lord Patrick, question. If all the players now have their names on their shirts, why do they bother with numbers? They are redundant. I like that. No, don't take that away. No. Can you? No, don't take that away. Adam. But players coming back playing in the reserves was always the best way to bring young players through. It gave them experience, and learning from old players was always the best way. 100% agree. Steve, 153 people in the chat. Look, if you're new to the channel, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification. It all helps me with the algorithms or whatever goes on behind the scenes, etc. So do hit the like, subscribe, and bell notifications. Thank you, Steve, for reminding me. Pete, I think it's a wind-up still. Someone you may know. What's a wind-up? It's so far. That comment was 20 minutes ago, so you're going to have to remind me what the wind-up was. You know how easily wound up I get. You saw that in the Liverpool game. I've got a lot of apologising to do, haven't I, when I go back to the next home game. Keith, Moyes' comments re VAR was spot on. Quickest offside goal check in Premier League history, and never even looked as... Oh, yeah, that was the other thing. Bowen's goal. Was that really offside? What? By a hair's breadth? Never even looked a possible penalty. Highly dubious refereeing all round. I 100% agree. Let's scroll down. Howard, Vlasic made disparaging comments about Moyes when he went to Torino. He ain't coming back. I don't think he'll stay. Don't get me wrong. Absolutely right, Howard. I don't think he'll stay. But anyway, Garino. To Keith, that offside check they only put up on the screen for half a second. They always do it when it's top six side. Debbie and Mark, still, you should do a 3,000 subscriber special. You know what? I shouldn't, but I've been looking at my subscribers. It's going to... what was it? 2952, 2950, 2952, 2950. There's two people around that are like subscribing and unsubscribing every other bloody day, you bastards. Juha, good evening to you, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining, mate. Much appreciated. Paul, Moyes' comments were spot on. Bowen was more onside than Stones. All stink. It does stink. And yet they want him to explain himself. You know, I think he should go in there and get a massive fine for telling them what a bunch of cheating C's they are. Daniela, I think we should give Vlasic one more chance. Frankly, I don't. And the reason why I don't is because he hasn't done it at Torino. He hasn't done it in a league that's a lot slower than the Premier League. He had a really, really good start there, and he's fallen away dramatically. So, no, I disagree with you, Daniela, I'm afraid. I don't think he's going to make it, and I don't think he should get another chance. He will go. Keith, Garino, exactly, mate. No time was spent on it at all. Shameful. It is shameful. Paul, will Forest beat Chelsea? Yes, quite possibly. That would be absolutely fucking hilarious. I'm laughing already. Fred, good evening to you, mate. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Usual. Fat Frank's record play 6. It just gets better. See, we can cheer ourselves up. Of course we can. That's what West Ham, isn't it? You know, we can cheer ourselves up through someone else's misery. And when it's Fat Frank's and Chelsea's, it's hilarious. It really is. Good evening to you, Devon and Dave. Oh, no, I've already said good evening to you. 10 men in a forklift truck. Good evening, Chris. How are you? Fat Frank for the Spurs job. Face blue. Flemmer. If we get new manager and attacking one, I will place Areola as our number 1 and 2 young keepers as number 2 and 3. Can't wait to see the back of Fabianski, Souček and Moyes. You know, Fabianski could get another year. It ain't right. I think he's been great, but let's be really, really honest. It ain't right. Why did we sell Diop? Good question. You know, Moyes just has a way with certain players. I don't think we should have sold Diop. There's another good player there. You don't pay 23 million or 24 million, whatever we paid for him, if he's a shit defender. And he's proven to be a pretty decent defender. NWO, heals quickly, is he magic? He wears a magic hat. So quite possibly he is. Hammerhead. Howard, I don't think he did. What did Hammerhead say? Let's go back and see what Hammerhead said. Can't find it. No, not Hammerhead. Howard. I don't. What did Howard say? Looking for your comments. Anyway. He wanted out. I don't know if he Well, did he want out Diop? He certainly wasn't going to get much game time. I would have kept him, to be quite honest with you. But anyway. Ronda and Tony, better manager will get the old Souček back. You know what? As much maligned as he is, against Crystal Palace, Souček made 2 goals and scored 1. Just saying. Let's scroll down. What else have we got here? Daniela. Vote, to be fair, Newcastle may never get a super club status even with their money. I don't know. If they stay up there for a good few seasons, they may do. And with the money that they have, who knows? Robert, don't rush Zouma back. We're not going down and have enough of a squad to win the Conference League. You know, we do play better with him in the team. There's no denying that, to be quite honest with you. But yes, I'm going to talk about the match preview and about the teams that could be picked. I think we could do it without him. You know, we've had to do it without him twice already this season. How Souček gets paid as football from yeah, I'm not standing up for Souček, but he did make 2 goals and scored 1 at the weekend. Hammer time. Give him an injection game on the pitch. Go on, get out there. It's only a broken foot. Get out there. Well, it's not broken. Swollen ankle. Ligaments. Daniela, Foch easy, but if they push too quickly, it can end very quickly. The real youth setup. Is that bringing on the youth? Yeah, I think you take time to bring youth in. Scamacca doesn't want to play for us. I think it's pretty evident, isn't it? Let's be honest with you. 3 months to get over a minor surgery. Who else had? Was it Zouma or was it someone else that had the same sort of surgery earlier in the season? It might have been Zouma, and he was back pretty quickly. So 3 months to recover from that, I'm with you. Garino, don't worry, chaps. I'll go get Scamacca. Do you know where he is? Scamacca is doing a Lingard. Yeah, it looks like Scamacca won't be back. Scamacca, the slacker. Arsenal back in the title race. Right, so I don't know what the result was. I'm guessing they won. I know it was 3-0 at half-time. That means they're on top. It takes me nicely into the next part of the show, which is a preview. That takes them above Man City. Man City are going to want to get back up there, don't they? They're 2 points behind Arsenal, but City have got 2 games in hand as well. Hammer time. Apparently, Rice can't wait for another relegation battle next season. Yeah, we love it. Keeps us on our toes. If we stay in the Premier League and win the Conference Cup, he stays another season. This is my thinking. Exactly. I think we will stay in the Premier League. It'll be tight, but I think we will. And I think we stand a fucking good chance of winning this Conference League. Puts us back into Europe again for the 3rd season in a row. A season with the likes of Paquetá, etc., all around. Bring more players in, whoever the manager is, whether it's Moyes or any other manager, etc. And he might. I know I'm clutching. Paul, Moyes won't play Scamacca anyway, not being managed well at all. I agree with that as well. I agree. Spencer, he's gone. Come on, can't blame him. Yeah, and I think, look, I think what I'm trying to say is it won't surprise me if we sell him. It won't surprise me if he stays. That's Declan Rice. It will not surprise me either way if he stays or if he goes. If he goes, we're all expecting him to go. But if he stays, it'd be like, I get it. I get why he would stay. But it is clutching. I've got to be honest. Garino, if we get that Paulo Fonseca chap, ex-Roma manager, he might convince Scamacca to stay. Good shout. Fo, Daniela, owners from the Middle East state don't mess around. Newcastle are about to buy a Belgian club, Oostend, as a feeder club for foreign youngsters to avoid work permits. Moving fast. Yeah, Newcastle are here to stay, aren't they? Adam Moyes hasn't made any changes really, and more annoying is his usual standard of subs and not using the subs to change games, or at least try to change games. Right. Why don't I go into the final part of the show, which is a match preview and also the teams that Moyes could be looking at selecting. So, like I said earlier in the show, with all the weekend fixtures having now been played, with the last game being between Leicester and Everton, which ended in a 2-2 draw, West Ham go into their gaming hand against Man City on Wednesday, knowing that even a defeat won't affect our league position of 15th. If you want a review of the analysis, a proper review of and analysis of the games against Liverpool and Crystal Palace, do have a look at my back catalogue, the video I put out on Monday, which gave a bit more in-depth overview on that. The game against Man City is going to be our 34th game of the season, which then catches us up with all the other teams around us. And we currently have in our favour, we've got the 4 points above the team below us, a 16th place Leicester City, but we also have a superior goal difference over all the teams below us as well. Like I said earlier on, no one's expecting us to get anything from the game on Wednesday night. The last time we beat them was in the 2015-2016 season under Slaven Bilic. Moyes' West Ham managerial Moyes' managerial record at West Ham is even worse. Played 4, lost 4 since he's been managing us. So we're going to go into this game with an awful lot stacked up against us, aren't we? Let's start with Man City team predictions. It's expected that Pep Guardiola will rotate his talented squad, with perhaps Phil Foden and Bernardo Silva coming back in to replace Jack Grealish and Riyad Mahrez. I mean, he's afraid, isn't he? He's bringing out all the big guns against us. Nathan Ake's back in training, but it's quite likely he won't be regaining his place. And of course, we've got Kevin De Bruyne, who apparently will have a late fitness test to see whether he'll be making the game or not on Wednesday night. Look, whatever team Guardiola puts out, let's be honest with you, they're pretty good. They've got 22, 23 players who are all first-team players. Now, what I found interesting in David Moyes' press conference today was when he spoke about Erling Haaland. He was asked whether he was surprised that Haaland had already scored 50 goals so far this season. And this was part of Moyes' reply. He said of the player, I think he's actually got a good team behind him, which quite often makes him. I wouldn't say that they make it easy for him, but they try to make it as easy as they can for him to score. Now, my interpretation of that is this. Haaland would not be the player he is without the team behind him, supporting him and creating chances. I get that. Then that takes me back to our situation. We've just spoken about Scamacca and the strikers that we've had. Haller was incorrectly considered a failure. Scamacca is being incorrectly considered a failure. And Ings is considered to be a waste of money. Why? Well, we have a good team behind these strikers. We have, but the difference with Haaland is that he isn't expected to track back. He isn't expected to defend. The team behind him are always on the front foot, looking to attack rather than defend. Harsh as it may sound, if Moyes managed Haaland, there's no way the player would have hit double figures, let alone 50 goals in all competitions this season. Now, it's just odd, isn't it? I don't know why Moyes, talked about, it's almost as if like you make it easy for your striker to score. Well, that's their fucking job. The job of your squad, of your team, is to make it easy for your striker to score. You don't expect Danny Ings to start as a number 10 and then try to make up ground. You don't expect Antonio, who's still a makeshift striker, by the way. You don't expect Antonio to play from, to defend 1 minute and then be up the park on his own to try and score a goal without anyone around him. The reason why Haaland's successful, I mean, he's a prolific goal scorer anyway, but the reason why Haaland is successful is because he's got support. He's got the team who make it easy for him to score goals. It's a no-brainer, isn't it, David? For goodness sake. And the reason why the likes of Scamacca hasn't been properly utilised is because he's been played in a position which is alien to him. Danny Ings, an established Premier League striker who scored a hatful of goals for every team he's played for, except for West Ham United. Why? Because he's not being used in the correct way. It baffled me that Moyes sort of made these comments about Haaland as if it was like a backhanded compliment, as if to say, well, yeah, he wouldn't be the player he is without the team behind him. No shit, Sherlock. Of course he wouldn't be the player he is without the team behind him. And that's why, Mr. Moyes, if you had your strikers on with support, we might have got more goals this season. The one thing we've been lacking has been goals. How many goals we've scored? Anyway, rant over. So what about some West Ham team news? There's a call for Moyes to rest key players in the prep for this game, so that in the prep for the game against Man United on Sunday. We've talked about that. People have commented about that in the chat already. In my brief show on Monday that I did, I suggested that the team looked tired, they looked fatigued, and that Moyes seemed to be making the same mistake that he made last season, where he's being over-reliant on certain players, which is now beginning to have an adverse effect on their game. There are two goals. We'll start from the goalie. There are two goals perhaps that Fabianski should have saved, or maybe seen sight of. But the Liverpool goal, the second goal, I think was quite poor. I think the second goal against Palace, where he should have stopped the ball coming across for Zaha to score. He didn't seem to be in the right position for that. Should he be rested for Areola to play against Man City and give him a respite and then bring him back in for the Man United game? Gerd, I've already mentioned, he's been sloppy of late, which also suggests that maybe fatigue is setting in. But with Zouma's injury, now there's a little chance of him being rested. Soucek, Rice, Paquetá was second to every ball against Crystal Palace at the weekend, and many fans are suggesting that some, if not all three, should be rested in prep for Man United. Then up front, Jared Bowen has been running his socks off for the club all season. He started off poorly. He's got to be one of our best players again this season, but even he could do with a break. In fact, with all the players at our disposal, Moyes can make choices. Moyes can make selections that will give a number of players respite. Areola in goal. I know you're going to sort of sigh at Ben Johnson, but we got Johnson. He, put an arm around him. He might, he's not been great, but, Kehrer, for example, has not been great, but then pulled off some decent performances of late. Johnson could do the same. Ogbonna, a stalwart. Emerson at left back. I know he played poorly in the first half against Palace, but that shows that Moyes can make decisions if he really wants to, where he hauled him off at half-time. Lanzini has been underused all season. Downs, every time he's played for us, has not really let us down. Yeah, I've still got Declan in there. I couldn't think of who else to put in the middle there. Fornals, he was hauled off at half-time as well against Palace. But try him, put him in a more advanced middle type position, and you might see a very different player. Cornet, absolutely underused. He's back to fitness now. Why is he not starting games, or why is he not coming on with maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes to go? Yet again, David Moyes brings him on with 5 minutes to go in games. What's he going to do? And then Danny Ings up front. So that means you could rest Fabianski, Creswell, Agurd, Soufal, Soucek, Bowen, Paquetá, Benrahma, Antonio. You can rest them all. But what Moyes is very likely to do is this. He's going to go by type. Fabianski in goal, Soufal, Agurd, Ogbonna and Creswell at the back, Paquetá, Soucek and Rice in the middle, Bowen, Benrahma and Antonio up front. Now, as we've said, a lot of these players have shown fatigue. Agurd, mistakes. Soufal's been great, but he looked knackered. Paquetá was hauled off because he was ineffective. Soucek, ironically, played well against Palace. Rice didn't look like the player we know he can be. So he's got choices. So he can go with some of the players in the squad to give a number of players a rest. But we know he's more than likely to go to type. For me, then maybe there's a mixture of the two. My selection would be this. I'd put Areola in goal. Soufal, I'd put Kehrer, Ogbonna and Emerson at the back. I would play Paquetá with Downs and with Declan Rice either side. And then I would go with Fornals, Cornet and Antonio up front. Even that will allow Benrahma, Bowen, Soucek, Agurd, Creswell and Fabianski to be rested. You could do that. There's a mixture. But we know that what Moyes would do is he will go with that, and then he will complain that we played too many games, that the players look tired, etc., and then what? Look, okay. What do I think of the game tomorrow? It ain't going to be easy. Come on. Arsenal have gone above Man City. Man City are going to want to go back up above them in the league. But if we keep it tight, now the thing is, keeping it tight and trying to defend for 90 minutes are kind of two different things. If we go out and try and defend for 90 minutes, we'll get spanked. We'll absolutely get spanked. If we try and keep it tight, try and keep it on the front foot, we're not going to get a lot of possession. We know that. We know we're not going to see an awful lot of the ball. But it's, as I said earlier, possession sometimes doesn't mean much, so long as it's what you do with possession that counts. If we can make possession count, who knows? And set pieces. We finally come back to scoring goals out of set pieces. So who knows what could happen? Look, City already scored 84 goals already this season in 32 games. I think Haaland has, out of the 50 that he scored 34 of those 84 goals in the league. So, but that means there's another 50 that's shared between them. It's going to be difficult to keep them to keep them from scoring. Logic suggests, the law of averages suggests that they've only conceded, by the way, 30 goals. So the law of averages suggests that it should be a 3-1 defeat tomorrow. That's what you would, they're averaging 3 goals a game. They're conceding a goal a game. Law of averages, you would predict a 3-1 defeat. But you never know. Man City, they'll continue to play their 3-2-4-1 formation, but it's about being on the front foot. And if we only see 20-25% of the ball, it's what we do with that 20-25%. I never want to predict a loss for West Ham United. Even against the likes of Man City, I can't. So I'm going for a draw. I'm going to go for a hard-earned draw. It can be done. It can be done. But if Moyes decides to go with a team that already looked knackered against Crystal Palace, what then? But if he decides to mix it around a little bit, who knows? Who knows what could happen? Right. I'm going to go back into the chat to see what you have to say. Garino, only issue with Fonseca is plays 4-2-3-1, by all accounts, albeit a more attacking setup. You can play that formation, but make it attacking. Moyes plays that formation and makes it defensive. Michael, wouldn't Rice want the club to get something for him, though? If he goes on a free, we get now. Yes, true, but we get another season out of him. Like I said, we could extend his contract and then still sell him with a year left on his extended contract for maybe, I don't know, 70, 80 million. But yeah, good point. Daniela, there's so much crap written about Rice. Saturday, he is signed for Arsenal. Sunday, they're looking at Mason Mount, dropping interest in Rice. Today, Mirror Arteta wants to speak to Rice. It's all, absolute shit. Yes. What did you want to say? Did you want to say something? GP, good evening to you. Hi all by Best West Ham Show. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Well, they're all good in their own right, but I'm the best. Thank you. Paul, Arteta should be done for tapping up. See, but these are all stories that aren't true because it's the newspapers or the social media that want you to think that it's all a done and dusted deal. I still don't think if Rice is sold, I still don't think he's going to go to Arsenal. I really don't. Garino, John Notes. Oh, Blue Peter, rest in peace. Another one gone. Rhonda and Tony, big business decision. Do you sell asset for 100 million or let him walk away for free? Sullivan will take the money for his last bonus. Not so sure that he would. I think if Declan Rice wants to stay, I don't think West Ham United will want to sell him. I think it's really down to the conversations that they have at the end of the season. And someone else, I think Sai suggested, if we stay in the Premier League and if we win Europa Conference, that might make him go another season in Europe. Why not? Anthony, good evening to you. Rice appreciates our youth side developing him, and he will want to secure that legacy for others to follow. He will not leave on a free because it will damage development for future kids. That's a good point, actually. Yeah, that's a good point. But like I say, what we can do, if he does decide to stay another season, we can get him to agree to extend his contract by the clause that he's got in, and we'll say we won't keep you to it, or we won't keep you to it. Let's extend it. We'll say you at the end of this season. At least we get some money. You play another year for West Ham, and if you've got one more year left, then you go for 50 million or something like that. Garino, personally, I find the who is going to win the Premier League chat boring. Relegation is more fun. Bit like comparing Scooby-Doo against Knives Out Mystery. Knives Out Mystery. Have I seen that? I think I have. I don't know how you're comparing Scooby-Doo to Knives Out Mystery. There's a link. I'm sure there is. Michael, I only see Rice playing for us again after this season, only if he returns in the twilight of his career. Interesting. Yeah, could come back when he's 35 and we'll sign him for 30 million. GP, I stalked still, but he called the police. GP. You're the one putting up all these police messages, are you? Oh, I don't know who half of you are. Fred, we always get VAR calls that lose us points. Then they give us a couple of ones that don't make a difference to us to throw a bone. Good point. Good point. Who else have we got? Steve, still looks like Miss Courtney, headmistress from Mind Your Language classes. I've got no clue. You've all gone off on your own chat. You carry on. Debbie and Mark, ever since that 5-1 Newcastle thrashing, poor Tilo has been on the bench. Would love to see him start, even if it's for one game. He played really well against Arsenal. Am I wrong? Daniela, still, I think it's your cats that are subscribing. I'm subscribing. Garino, all this fancy medicine is clearly for the Gen Z types. Get the magic sponge out, and Zouma and Scamacca will be playing against Man United. There you go. The magic sponge. That's what's missing. That's what's missing. Scarborough, good evening to you, mate. Scamacca was played week in, week out for about 7 games, and he didn't do enough. He's talented, and I want him to succeed, but his attitude has got to be right and play for the fans. Yeah, good point. I think he doesn't have that. Excuse me. I don't think he has that love for West Ham. I get that. Steve, it seems a lot of players want moves as Moyes don't play them, so they don't improve and values go down. See, this is the other thing. I'm not saying that they don't, but another thing that's been sort of peddled, that everyone's unhappy, the squad's unhappy, there's unrest, etc., 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 etc. And yet, what we've seen, certainly the week before last, when we won those 2 games, it looked like a team that were really sort of one unit. We're all together, and then against Liverpool, it was disappointing. And against Crystal Palace, we did play shit, but we also got cheated. Martin, I definitely think Rice won't be at West Ham next season. Mandy, I'm not going to say what I was going to say. George, we have paid a price for playing in Europe this season. We're needing to play the Premier League games. We're playing Premier League games tired. Yeah, we are. But then that's what the squad's for, George. That's why Moyes went out and bought 8 players so that we wouldn't have the problem we did last season. Last season, we had a small squad. We ran out of steam. I get that, and I would almost forgive Moyes for that. But this season, that ain't the excuse. We've got 8 new players who've replaced players who weren't getting game time. We've made the squad better. So Moyes should have faith in those players and play them. If he signed them, if he signings, etc., play them. Don't leave them on the subs bench and only give them 5 minutes here and there, because that's no good to anybody. Fred, Saggy bagging a bit loose at the seams, but Emily loved him back. What are you lot on about? Are you all smoking something? Devon and Dave, think we need to go with our strongest defence to avoid a cricket score, but need to mix it up and rest some midfielders and attack. Keith, give Haaland one of our special lasagnas and we might have a chance. Rhonda and Tony. Areola, Johnson, Kehrer, Agerd, Creswell, Downs, Fornals, Lanzini, Benny, Cornet, Ings, park the bus and start praying. Well, that's not really. Let's. What did I suggest? So Areola. Oh yeah. Oh no, I said what he had available to him. Areola, Johnson, Kehrer, Ogbonna instead of Agerd, Creswell, Emerson. Okay. Downs, Fornals, Lanzini. Yeah, you're not far off. Let's get rid of that. Funky T. Scamacca was nothing to do with Moyes. He didn't want to train, but expected to start. Went missing a lot. Just didn't turn up at training. Moyes wouldn't put up with it, and West Ham want him gone. Well, if they do want him gone, then let's hope that we get a decent price for him. Let's hope we don't get our, we don't lose yet again millions of pounds on another dud player. Steve. 5-0 City tomorrow. Haaland 3, Mahrez and Foden. That's the spirit, mate. Well done, Steve. Haaland, the Norwegian in Dowie. Sai, our superior goal difference might not be superior after the Man City game. That is a fear, because I think Leicester are only 3 goals different to us. So, yes, you're absolutely right. But, if we walk away with a 1-0 defeat, would you take that? I don't want to walk away with any defeat. Foe, imagine Scamacca at Man City. 20 league goals guaranteed. Yeah, this is it. This is what I've been saying. Been saying it about Haaland. And I know Scamacca's attitude seems to not be fantastic. But I just wonder, if we play to his strengths, I wonder what sort of player we might have had. Usual. 8 p.m. Wednesday night, I'm hiding in the wardrobe for 90 minutes, watching it on the phone. Keith, Haaland, thanks, Jude. I knew I spelt it wrong. Epic. Moyes is incompetent. If Moyes doesn't mix his squad around, for the game tomorrow and gives a few players some rest, I get the whole thing about resting. But even if you did play a team like, either that, all right, maybe our defense is not as strong as it should be. Or even if you played a team like that with Souček there, Soufal, Kehrer, that ain't a bad defense. It ain't that bad. Got some pace with Emerson and down one side. The midfield looks decent. Our attack will look decent. But we know Moyes probably won't do that. What else have we got here? Usual suspect. Recommend me one, Daniel. What's that? Oh yeah, she told you to watch a film. Well, get Betty out tomorrow. What are you all on about? You are all smoking something. E. Davis. Moyes will put Scammer on loan and convert Downs into our new hero. Garino, best moustache. What are you all on about? Best moustache I've seen on a player for West Ham. Who are you talking about now? What did I get wrong? Know your history. David, tell me what I got wrong and I'll correct it. Scott, Fabs has been at fault for a number of goals. I would suggest that we lost a number of games due to his below average goalkeeping. Other reasons too, but some have been very, very savable. I know. Mandy, Nobody is a great film. Nobody is a great film now showing on Netflix. Nobody is a great film. I'm going to look out for that one. Thank you for that tip. We have gone into mad moments. Ahmed, Ben Johnson is rubbish against Grealish. He would get slaughtered. Yeah, but Grealish ain't going to play. It'll only be Foden, so it'll be all right. You lot are talking about Tashes and shit like that. Mandy, even you've turned off Moyes. Get rid of Moyes. Mandy, you're normally quite easygoing. Wow. James, Fabs has had a good season. Goalkeeping most certainly hasn't been our weakness. I think there have been a few errors. I think James, I think he's been great. I think he's, sort of rolled back the years. And I think I agree with you. He has been great. But he has shown some vulnerabilities this season, to be honest. Sharky, Fabianski has done very well overall. Mandy, we will have 0 possession. Watch him start Benny and Antonio. And Benny, he's fallen away. Flat as to deceive, unfortunately. Predictions for tomorrow, going 5-0. Okay, give me your predictions. I'm going for a 2-2 draw. 2-2 draw. Give me your predictions and we'll finish the show on that. Get Mbama and Earthy in there. Free hit for the badge. Give it our all. See, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't want to put those young players against the Man City team. And let's say they romped home to a 5-0 win or something like that. How would they feel being part of that? I don't know. E. Davis, got to play Areola to get ready for the semi-finals. Good shout. I like Areola. I think he's a good keeper. Anthos, who was it that said if Haaland had a double leg amputation, he'd still score a hat-trick? Mandy, a positive 4-1 to City. Fucking hell. GP 7-0. Well done, Jerry. Thank you. West Ham 3-2. That's exactly the way it should be. James, 2-0 to West Ham. Vinay, Areola is no disaster. No reason why he can't be our number one keeper. He's more agile than 38. I agree. I do. I think those of you who watch my show regularly will know for the past 2 seasons, I've been saying that I think he should be our number one keeper. Black Country going 5-0 to them. Lord Patrick, I'll take a 1-1 away. I'll take that too. Howard tomorrow, 2-2. Paquetá and Antonio. Pete, Ireland has scored a ton of goals at every level he's played in. Moyes is fucking bad pot. There's no idea. Fucking dollop. You're getting angry, Pete. Greg Lane, I take a 2-0 loss. Hopefully City take it easy as they have Madrid coming up. I wouldn't take any loss, but I do get you, Greg. I know. Rhonda and Tony. This game has 0-0 written all over it. If there's one thing it hasn't got, it's 0-0 written all over it. Unless we do amputate Haaland's legs before he gets on the pitch. Anthos, 5-1 to them after we go 1-0 up in the 80th minute. Steve, only Brentford have won their 2-1. Well, we're the next to win. Foe, man, 3-0, man. Fuck me. There's only a couple of people that said we're going to win. Garino, we will most likely see 20% of the ball when we're Huntip, good evening to you. 3-4 to West Ham. There you go. Come on. Areola to start. Fabianski's been too static. Keith, I fancy a draw tomorrow, but as long as we don't get spanked, it will wreck our goal difference. And thoughts bring back Sacco. He scored the winner, didn't he? Fred, 2 or 3-1 City would love to get a draw. Scarborough. It's so crucial Moyes plays a mobile midfield. Downs, Rice, Paquetá are a must. I agree with that. I think that's what I had in my lineup. Black Country, that's the problem still. It's Moyes' tactics that can't even see a point tomorrow. He will go out and defend money. Oh, fucking hell. He will go out and park the bus. Every time we try and park the bus, teams score against us, don't they? That's the fear I have. That's the fear I have. Usual, I'm taking magic mushrooms tomorrow night as I find it will help with the viewing. Anthos, if he plays Souček, bring back capital punishment. Vinay, we all know Moyes won't do anything different. He goes mental inside. If one of his routines is disturbed. Reminds me of the move, The Rain Man. Oh, yeah, great film. Garino. To usual suspects, I'm going to watch an episode of Bagpuss before the match. Then whatever happens and whatever lineup Moyes chooses will at least make some degree of sense by comparison. Arsenal won't get Dexter 80 million. We won't sell him for that. Don't be silly, Mandy. Come on. Steve, Garino or watch Rainbow when Zippy has chicken pox. What are you lot going on about? Jerry, sorry I've come into the houses a bit late tonight. Have the season ticket increases been covered? Yes, they have, Jerry, I'm afraid. And I did talk about why have we increased it. The increase is around about 8% increase. Why did they put the the pensioner age up to 66. Only another team has done that, Aston Villa. So yes, I think the money that they're getting for the extra for the increase is about £2.5 million. I mean, it's hardly worth it, and especially with the cost of living crisis. You're absolutely right. You have missed it, but they shouldn't have increased the price. Daniela, like I tried to say, it's his dad that's touting Deck around, or has been one big ploy to upset us. Yeah, it's his agent. His dad will do it. And I just wonder, I mean, I'm sure he'll probably listen to his dad, but I wonder, I don't know. It will not surprise me if it stays one more season, Declan Rice. Robert, the Johnny Logan song comes to mind with regards to what? Anthos. Just imagine if Rice still wants to play for us after such a crap season. Why not? He's just as responsible for getting us in this position as everybody else. Mandy, Chelsea is so poor. All the teams at the bottom are disappointed not to be playing them. So true. George, we're paid a price for playing in Europe this season. DM has done a good job overall. Many will disagree with you, especially in this chat. I think, I think we there's no way we should be in a relegation battle, to be quite honest. I think that's the one biggest disappointment. Even halfway through the season, I thought we will finally get out of this and just be mid-table mediocre. We haven't even done that. So to get to the last 5 games of the season and still be in this predicament has been a massive disappointment. Howard, no wonder we're all on drugs. The fucked up TV with here you go. Mandy, Scamacca isn't mentally strong enough for the Premier League. That's a good point. That's a good shout. Possible. Does anyone here remember Billy Bonds and Colin Todd going toe-to-toe in front of the tunnel? Happy days. Those are the days. You get sent off before you even get on the pitch if that happens these days. Very nice. Scamacca didn't earn Moyes' trust, which means he has never become an obedient zombie who went all along with his primitive tactics. Oh, dear. Keith, yeah, I could never work out whether George was a cow or a... Now you're talking about rainbow. I mean... What do you say about that? Good evening to you, Moisaurus. A few species of dinosaur, the Moisaurus, the Fatsomosaurus, the Pulisaurus rex. Fatsomosaurus is making a Leeds comeback. We've talked about that. I hope he goes down with them. I really do. Not on them, with them. I hope he goes down with them. We need that, Gafo. We need the Arsenal second half performance from against City to even stand a chance of single-digit defeats. Good, you lot are happy tonight, aren't you? Sai again. Best Tash was Devo. He did have a great Tash. Proper 70s porn star Tash. Keith. Still's been busy talking football. I know. I'm trying to keep it sensible, but you lot have gone off on a complete tangent, which is great. Let's scroll down. Vinay, Moyes doesn't like the way Areola stares at him. That's the only reason Moyes doesn't start him. Oh, well done, Pete. 4-0. Who depresses? Oh my God, who's depressing? Who's depressing you? 3-0 to Man City, Anthony. 8-0 for Man City, +2 injuries. Injured who should be rested. Oh, dear. Ronda and Tony, 1-0 loss. Moyes will be jumping for joy. Good evening, Wal. How are you, mate? To be honest, I think all goalkeepers make mistakes. No, yeah. I agree with you on that. I agree. But Fabianski has played really well this season. But I do think it's time for Areola, what should have been. I think we can nick a point. I really do hope so, Si. I really do. Debenham Dave, optimistic, 1-1. Who else we got? Mandy, can you imagine Kera and Johnson line up tomorrow? I bet they play brilliantly and keep them at bay. 0-0, written all over it, Mandy. Daniela, a late 2-3 West Ham win. City are going to not turn up because they got Champions League in their minds. 3-0 is awesome, is it? It's still a defeat. Sharky, 4-2. Jerry, if we amputate Haaland's legs, he will still be 6 feet. Sharky, 4-2 to Man City. Mark, I went for a draw too. No idea why, though, because if you've been listening to that, if you've been reading their chat, you probably got completely distracted. Every time I look at another comment, it's about Bagpuss or about Rainbow or about... You lot haven't mentioned Magic Roundabout, have you? Or did I miss that? David, when you lot could not win boogie prizes, good evening to you, Dave. I hope you're well. Thank you for joining. Thanks for increasing my views by one. Garino, if West Ham were a kids' TV show, it would be the Clangers with Bagpuss as manager. Sam, good evening to you. Fabs is rubbish. Areola is so much better. I wouldn't say Fabs is rubbish, but it is time for Areola to be number one. 8 Barley, there's no way Sojek ain't playing tomorrow. We know that. We can only dream, can't we? Abu, good evening to you. Moyes special, please. 0-0 until 80 minutes, then go for a goal. That would be tempting fate, wouldn't it? I'd just keep 0-0 till the end of the game and not try and go for a goal. Sharky, if we amputate Ireland's legs, then he will play like Ian Dowie. Mandy, he would still be Oggy in a race in a wheelchair. That's really unfair on Ogbonna. I think he's been one of our stalwarts. He's been fantastic for us. Oh, how could you say that, Mandy? Usual suspect. You can watch Magic Roundabout. There you go, Magic Roundabout. Pete, good article in 6'2" about. See, yeah, I read that earlier on. It was a good article. Yeah, I disagree. Moyes out. Like. Please do hit the like button, subscribe, and all that jazz. DM. Stel Rice, another year. What? Another year? Yes, another year, Robert. One more year. One more year. Vinay, DM has done a great job. Just view the league table upside down. It looks good from Australia. How far am I before I bloody well sign off? I'm catching up. Because I'm going to avoid. Garino, Stel, trust me, I do not want to see Big Fat Sam go down. Yeah, Alan Devonshire, 70s porn star moustache. What's porn? The one you watch each night, mate. Si, can I show them a club that got their colours from us? You can. I don't know how, though. Sire's got a shirt. I've talked about this. Out in Cyprus, there's a team called Paralimni. Neon, I can't remember the middle name. Neon Paralimni. Bobby Moore took shirts to them back in the early 70s when they were promoted into the Cypriot First League, and they've worn our colours ever since. Sire's got a shirt that's being sold. Is it on Amazon? If you've got a link to the Amazon, you can go and bid for it. Is it Amazon or is it eBay? Sorry. If you've got a link to it, just write it in your comments, Si, and I'll put it up. Lovely shirts. They wear the claret and blue. See, there were two brothers who lived in London. They were West Ham fans. When they went back to Cyprus, they supported their local team. They got to know players, etc. And then when they came up, Bobby Moore gave them a shirt. That's all the link. But anyway, Si's got a shirt to sell. Put up the link. Peter, do you think Alkmaar having 2 weeks will benefit them or us? Having 2 weeks will benefit them or us? Sometimes when a team is playing consistently, it can be better for a team. I just hope we're not absolutely fucking knackered by the time we actually get to play them. That's the difference. So I don't know, to be honest with you. Look, Alkmaar are a good championship level team. They should be beatable. You know, Ghent, I think that what's going to be absolutely crucial is we've got to get the win, a convincing win in the first leg. So we go away and then sort of like hold them at bay in the second leg. Having said that, we did do it against Lyon last season, where we beat them in the second leg away. So it can be done, and I don't think we should fear Alkmaar. To be honest with you, I'm not saying we should be dismissive of them, but I don't think we should fear them. I think we should be able to beat them. Anthony, King Dong was a real porn star, just kept fainting. Where is this chat going now? Keith, I don't think we'll beat Man United. We're the masters ruining their season finale. I do think we'll beat Man United. Yeah, I do think we can. We always have a say in the Premier League running, don't we? Look, drew against Arsenal. Why can't we get something about over Man City? Clutching at straws again. Moyes will burn our players out and we'll end up bottling the semi-final, leave the Premier League to a do-or-die game at the end of the against Leicester. I really, really hope that doesn't happen. That will put the fear in me. Will we bottle it in the semi-final? I don't think we will. I think we will. I think we're going to a final. Sam, I'm going to West Ham versus Leeds on 21st of May. Can't wait. It'll be a good game, especially if there's a lot hanging on it. Sharky, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was my favourite show as a kid. Here we go again. Mandy, if we get a top-class manager, he might just stay. Don't look for a Stell lookalike. Jerry, West Ham have no pace and cannot hang on to the ball. Palace gave us a lesson about moving the ball quickly. We have signed players badly regarding this. Cart horses. Ings, do I need to say more? We were tired. We were obviously very, very tired against Palace. But Palace have got a very fast team. That, without a doubt, is true. Black Country. Right, that's it, folks. Good night. All great. Thank you, mate. Much appreciated, Black Country. I'm blaming you for all this chat about children's shows, by the way. Have a good night, mate. Adam, for me, Fabs has never been a good shot stopper with his feet, but still a good shot stopper. For me, Fabs has never been a good shot stopper with his feet, but still a good shot stopper overall. But you need to save now nowadays. That's why he's cost us. Yeah, it's cost us a few, but he has had a good season. He has had a good season. Garino, great chat, everyone. Keep the faith. I'm sorry I didn't keep up with the banter. You know, I'm trying to be professional here. Jerry, I know it's bedtime. Let the nightmares begin. Keith, great story about Paralympic. All the years I've been going to Cyprus, never heard that before. I rushed it. I did do it some weeks ago. I will do it again, but better. But yeah, that's the link. Paralympic. When I go out to Cyprus, I stay near there. I've driven past their ground several times, and they got like, you could see the carrot and blue around, but I don't know where their club shop is, or if they've got a supporters club or anything like that, because I'm going to be out there for the second leg of the semi-final, and hoping that I get to see it with some Paralympic fans. I've messaged them. I'm waiting for them to get back to me. Alkmaar having 2-week break means they should be fitter, unlike us. I don't know. Sometimes not playing might not be a good thing. Martin, love the backstory about the Cyprus jersey. Sorry I rushed it, but I hope you got the gist of it. Mark, good cheer up this evening. Of course, that's what we're here for, to have a bit of a laugh, even if I can't follow all your talk about Mary, Mungo, Midge, Wacky Races, Secret Squirrel, Bod showing my age. Yeah, I remember all those as well. Right, I'm gonna call it a day. And I'm going to thank you all. Devon and Dave, thanks all. Cheers, still. Thank you all very much. It's been fantastic. Really enjoyed doing it. Thank you all for all your comments. Thank you for getting involved in the chat. That's what makes the show. Let's go out and see what we can do against Man City tomorrow. It'll be a game I'm not going to. I'm actually not going to the game. So I don't know what I'll do. I'm not doing a watch along. Everyone does that. But I might I'll do a brief roundup. People seem to like that, like a 5-minute review of the game afterwards. Thank you all for watching. Have a great week, or continue to have a great week, seeing as it's Tuesday. Come on, West Ham United. Let's surprise everybody and get something out of the Man City game and make it a little bit easier in the Premier League. Thank you all for watching. Have a great night. Have a great week. And I'll see you all very, very soon.